Hello everyone, welcome to Conversations with Sakina. Today's video is a cold case involving an 84-year-old man named Maurice Dametz. This story came from MrBallen's YouTube channel. The episode is called 3 People Taken by Forest Creature, Missing 411, Part 6, and I will put a link to that in the description box below, because he tells a much better story than I do. He's going to give you all the details, whereas I'm skirting over a lot of the details to get to working with the Grand Tableau Lenormand layout. So Maurice Dametz unfortunately had a blood disease of some sort, and he had knee problems, so difficulty walking. So anywhere that he wanted to go, he needed help to go, and one of his favorite things to do was topaz hunting in the Pike National Forest at Devil's Head. And Pike National Forest, my understanding, is in Colorado, and the locals around there say that it is haunted by evil spirits. This did not deter, we'll call him Doc, did not deter him or his friend David McSherry, who was kind enough to take him topaz hunting when he wanted to go. So on April 29th, 1981, David and Doc got into a car and headed for Pike National Forest to their favorite spot, which was Devil's Head in Colorado. They arrived about 10 a.m. David helped Doc get down to his favorite spot at Devil's Head, and then he went about 50 yards away to his own favorite spot. He could still see Doc, and he could still hear Doc. So every once in a while during the topaz hunting, he would peek his head up to take a look and see how Doc was doing. About 3:45, they'd been there pretty much all day, so David thought, well, it's probably time to pack up some stuff and get back up to the car and head for home. So he stood up and looked Doc's direction, but he didn't see Doc anywhere. So he thought, well, maybe Doc had to go behind a tree or something and relieve himself. He wasn't real worried about the fact that he couldn't see him. But he gathered up his own tools and he went to the location where Doc was, and he didn't see Doc's backpack, which was really odd. And he thought, well, I wonder if Doc went up to the car, which would be very difficult for Doc to do since he had so much trouble with walking and somebody had to help him. But David was kind of at a loss here, so he thought, well, I'll go up and I'll see if he's up by the car. Well, he went up there by the car and there was no Doc. He did run across some motorists who he asked for their help in searching for Doc, and they went back down to the area where Doc was supposed to be, and they searched and searched but did not find anything. So authorities were called in and they did a weekly search but still found absolutely no sign of Doc. Now, obviously, with difficulty walking and needing David's help to get even to the topaz hunting location, this is very odd. And it is a cold case from April 29th, 1981. So let's see what we can figure out with the Lenormand cards. As always, I'm going to charge the cards that you see in front of you with specific characters to this story. I'm using the purely simple Lenormand, which is my design, and I'm sorry, but it is not for sale. So we're going to start with the man card, and this is Doc, the one who is missing. We're going to use the dog card as his friend David, a loyal friend, David McSherry. The woman card we are going to charge with evil spirit. So see if the locals have anything to say about that. This is the evil spirit. This will be a large predator, a bear, Sasquatch, something like that. And we always have to seem to put in the UFO aliens. So that's what we're charging these cards with. And I'm going to pick up these cards and tuck them in. I've shuffled the deck really well already, but I'll shuffle a little bit more. And then I will be putting this video on fast forward as I shuffle again and lay out the cards so you do not have to sit through the time that it can take to lay out the cards decently. So I'll be back. And the question we're asking is, what happened to Maurice Doc Dametz on April 29th, 1981 in the Pike National Forest at Devil's Head, Colorado? Okay, so we're going to look for our charged cards first. So as we can see, Doc is right here. So his cards of interest in this method of distance with Lenormand Grand Tableau, his cards of interest in the near are here. Then we also have this, or excuse me, this is the near, or very near. This is the very near, and this is the near. Everything else is considered far. Now, well, I'll get to that. Okay, so here is Doc, and then his friend is down here, David McSherry. Evil Spirits card is up here. Sasquatch or some wild animal is right here. And then the aliens are right here. The one thing that I find very, very interesting with this reading, and what usually with a case, or what we've found, is that when the mouse card is close at hand to the individual that we're looking for or the item that we're looking for, the mouse close at hand means it's going to be, or he's going to be found. The person or the item is going to be found. If it's far away, it usually means that no, you're never going to see them again. Now, interestingly, nothing has come up for Doc since 1981. He's never been seen again. So this is interesting. We'll see where this goes. Obviously, the evil spirits being in the far, it wasn't evil spirits that took him. His friend is in the fate line, but not in his near or very near. So his friend is not suspect. Okay, so we're going to start with the first three cards. And what we're seeing here is with the garden card, Doc and David went out into the mountains. And despite the issues, the burdens that, Doc had to deal with, because of his blood disease and his difficulty walking. Regardless of that, the day was meant to be an absolutely phenomenal day. He was going out with a friend, and the whole point was just to do something that really made them both happy. And topaz hunting was that. So it tells what they started their day out doing. So when we look at the four corner cards, we see with the garden that during the time of going missing, Doc was alone in his little spot. His friend was 50 yards away, but he was alone in his little spot. The book is hidden knowledge. There's something that we do not know, that we aren't going to be able to know about what happened to Doc. He was obviously removed somehow, and it's almost like, since the mouse card is next to Doc, he did not know that he was going to be removed. However, he did feel something was off, something was wrong. For how long? If it had been very long at all, he probably would have hollered for David McSherry and said, hey, maybe we should leave because I'm feeling a little off here. But no sound came. So this might have been almost instantaneous. And then we have the star card. But whatever happened to him, the star card is saying he was not going to be able to see his family again. And this could possibly be that he was taken to the stars. Now we'll get into that further. Remember, we do have secret knowledge here, and the solution key is directly below the secret knowledge. So there's an answer there. We just don't know what it is. So with the 4 center cards here, I feel as though with the anchor card, that is a goal card. And I feel like it's saying the goal is money. And I'm not saying for topaz hunting or anything like that. This is having something deceitful come to light. Something about money coming to light. Something deceitful, bad people, something like that coming to light. This is the goal. This is not to say that Doc knew anything that he shouldn't know. This is to say that somebody had a goal of gaining money in a not so straight way, and that was going to eventually become illuminated. We'll look into that a little bit more here, but now let's take a look at Doc. So when I look at these 2 cards next to him, I see the mice and I see the fox. And again, the fox is something wrong, something very wrong, and the mice would be something being removed. And fox do like to hunt mice. It's one of their delicacies. They like to eat mice, and as you can see, that fox is looking towards the mice and towards Doc. Now we know Doc was on the mountain, and we have the bear, which was another card that we charged with like Sasquatch and other wild animals, large wild animals that might have taken him. Now, as has happened in a previous reading, we have the UFO card or alien card kitty corner and touching Doc. And we also have the bear kitty corner and touching Doc. Now, in a previous reading, it showed that the aliens were able to communicate with the animals to have them take the individual. And somehow silence happens. For whatever reason, silence happens. And the news that arrives about Doc is that, you know, he's gone. Somehow or another, he's gone off the mountain. Now, this bear is connected to these 4 cards, or the crooked, deceitful situation. And we've come across this before also, where the goal is the money, and you know, this deceitfulness is being illuminated. Slow but sure, it is being illuminated, where someone gains money from people who go missing. Not sure if it will cover in these cards that or not, but we're going to keep looking here. When I look at the bottom line here, or the fate line, something that bothers me a little bit here. We've got the aliens here, and they arrived, which again, it looks like Doc felt like there was something wrong. But the aliens arrived, and they had an opportunity given to them by those in charge of the parks. And this again is another thing that happened within another reading, that it gave kind of a similar story here. But the dog card is what kind of gets me, because in that bottom line, it's almost as though the friend was a part of it, a part of the disappearance. Not in a way that he hurt Doc in any way, but I feel like he was maybe paid to have Doc there, not knowing necessarily what was going to happen, but somebody in the higher echelons got to David McSherry, enlisted his help to get Doc where they needed him. Another way to think of this that makes more sense to me, we know that David McSherry was faithful to Doc. He just happily took Doc wherever Doc needed to go. So I'm looking at this as not that he was paid off to be a part of it, but I'm looking at it as, what good is a watchdog? Now keep in mind, we have the dog here for the friend, the loyal, faithful friend who takes care of you, okay, or Doc. What good is a dog, a faithful, loyal dog, if it's too far away to protect you? So that makes more sense to me, is that the aliens had the opportunity given to them by those in charge of the parks, and unfortunately David McSherry was too far away to protect Doc from being hauled away by this bear, which was controlled by these aliens. And it was done for the purpose of, again, somebody has some goals and they get money for it. It's a deceitful practice, but it's being illuminated slow but sure. Okay, interestingly, with the letter where the letter is, in the very near to Doc, I almost feel as though he received a letter of some kind of communication, whether it was telepathic, to tell him to go to the mountain that day, and that someone, a bear, a Sasquatch, a very large creature, was going to take him somewhere. And I feel like that message came from these alien beings. And I think that Doc knew that he wasn't going to be seen again. If he did this, he wasn't going to be seen again. And he was the one who called David and asked him, can we go to, I just told him I'd like to go to the mountain today. And David agreed. So the fox is also a card of manipulation. So I feel as though Doc was manipulated by the aliens, and so was the animal that took him. With Doc, we can knight him to the whip, which is something that is repetitive. So we have a repeat situation here. This happens quite often, apparently, and it's going to be interesting in looking at some of these missing person cases, cold cases, to see how often this comes forth, that it's aliens that control the bears or the creatures that take away the person. And, since Doc had the foreknowledge, okay, I feel like the reason David McSherry, his friend, never heard anything is because Doc went willingly. He already knew what was going to happen. He went willingly. And if we look at Doc's line of sight here, he knew he wasn't going to be recovered. And he knew it was the aliens controlling the situation. And he knew that he might feel a bit nervous, a bit frenzied, a bit kind of scatterbrained, knowing that, something was going to happen, but not knowing exactly when. But regardless of that, he felt safe and secure. He was also committed to becoming part of a new family in the stars. So I think that that's pretty much what the aliens convinced him of. And the tree card is a tree of well-being, and that's in it's far, which far away means his health is good. He's doing very well. So I feel as though the aliens promised him good health. This was an opportunity, and that they took him to the stars. Now, of course, the solution here is we'll never really know, but I believe that Doc had a decision to make with the crossroads, the ways here, about whether he would change residence, become a part of the family of the stars. So I think that's probably the answer, is that Doc went with the aliens via the bear, or the creature that collected him on the mountain. But this is also a trend of, it's a money thing. Somehow or another, the aliens are given the opportunity by institutions, the higher up institutions that are supposed to be, keep people safe and secure. They're given the opportunity to take people from the mountains, the national parks, whatever, for money. So they give money to these people to be allowed to take certain individuals. And I think in this case, at least my opinion is that the aliens that contacted Doc, I think they really did have his well-being in mind. I do believe they actually did take him to the stars, and that he is, again, healthy and may very well still be living, even though he was 84 at the time he was taken. That might have been part of the appeal as well, is that he would be healthy again. Maybe even younger, for all we know. So that is what I have for Maurice Doc Dametz and what happened to him. It is, again, still a cold case. I'm not a seasoned Lenormand reader. I am practicing. However, if you are a seasoned Lenormand reader, I would love to have your take on this cold case, on this layout here. So until next time, take care.